Welcome to the 1% Better Recruitment Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Kiriakou, and this is the podcast that aims to help people within the recruitment industry get 1% better after every single episode. We've had such a wide variety of different guests that come on the show that talk openly about their stories, about sharing value, tools, techniques, strategies, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all within the recruitment space. And every single episode, we like to have as much fun as possible with open conversation back and forth. It's not scripted, it's uncensored. And as I mentioned, I like to have fun doing this podcast because I know that if you're going to tune into this, you want to feel like you're part of a conversation whilst also leveling up your game within the recruitment space. So if you like this podcast, please do us all a favor. Comment, like, subscribe, follow on all the platforms. It really helps drive engagement for the show. And that's enough from me. Let's get into this week's episode, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 1% Better Recruitment Podcast with your host, Charles Kiriakou. Today, I'm joined by Marc Burgess. Marc, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. For people that may or may not know who you are and what you do, if you can, just give us a quick intro, mate.
Okay, cool. Cheers. Hi, Charles, and hi, guys. So my name is Marc. I am a technology contract recruiter since 2011. I currently run a business called Formation Partners, which is providing contingent recruitment services to different customers across Europe and the globe. I'm in a sales director capacity here. That's what I do.
Nice. So, Marc, you've been on, was it the Top Biller Toolkit you've been on before as well, right? Yeah. So you've been on one podcast before, and we had been in and out of touch on LinkedIn for some time, because I know that like what you've done throughout your career and with your current business now, numbers wise, which I'm sure we can touch on down the line, have been really, really impressive. But in terms of the topics, so for people listening in and tuning in, the topics we're going to cover, we're going to talk about the human factor of business and recruitment, which I think is very prevalent because I don't know about you, but my LinkedIn feed is just slowly just growing in AI and automation, all the rest of it. So, I think you and I both share the same type of principle around this is a human business. Who knows, that might change in 5 to 10 years time. I fucking hope not. But that's going to be one of the first topics we'll talk about. Also best practice, knowing your process every single step of the way. And we're going to talk about kind of your best practice for yourself personally, for your team, for your business, for your candidates and clients, which I think is going to be really interesting. And then towards the end of the show, we're going to go through Marc's core methodology of winning business, which is really in line with me because largely what I do is a lot of business development coaching and training. So I'm really excited to learn a little bit from Marc myself, and I'm sure everyone who's viewing and listening now will also learn a shitload as well. So let's get stuck into this, Marc. So the first topic you wanted to talk about, of course, was the human factor in business and recruitment. I'll pass the mic over to you. Tell us a little bit about that.
The human factor in recruitment. So, so if you were to scroll through your LinkedIn feeds today, then you'll basically be getting told by pretty much everybody that AI is going to take over every single aspect of your job, and it's going to make you do loads of deals, set loads of meetings, or be the only way really that in the future you're going to be able to have any engagement or conversations with people. Now, I'd just like to caveat, I've been quite a successful recruiter. I've made over 25 million in profit for NFI and businesses in our contract market. I've had contractors up to 150 of my own working through like one invoice cycle each month. So I've done quite good. And I'm not saying ever that if absolutely every single post on LinkedIn or every single phone conversation is using AI is necessarily a bad thing. What I would say though is it's quite simple for anybody who you're trying to sell downwards to or upwards to, your candidates or your clients. It's very easy for them to see that you're doing that. So one of the old school differentiators, what we would call old school, is to lead with like a relationship first. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, for me, that means actually speaking to people in person like this, so you can find out who they really, really are. You can, on LinkedIn, for instance, on the posts that everybody puts about what they think their clients would like to hear, you see it from every single recruitment company, and to every single person. It's like they can your market or your audience, the people that are going to buy
Mm.
from you, they can see that you've just copied and pasted that from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So whilst I'm not saying that intention is like bad, it's good to get some form of content out there or something that you can inspire a conversation with. But I do think that if you can literally just prove yourself to be a human, then you're already like beating 9/10 of the people who are starting at the moment. That's my way of thinking. That's not old school. You need to make 100 phone calls in a day. If you're not with 5 hours of call time a day, then you're not doing your job. But I just think that we're very close to losing the fundamentals of, you know, like how precious actually speaking to somebody is. You know, I've got a few stories about how, I guess, you know, having conversations with people over an extended period of time have turned into revenue. And we can go into that further about what you get out of those calls and stuff like that. But
100%. Well, there's two things. First and foremost, when you did your intro and you didn't mention about the revenue, I was like scratching my head. Like, there's not many people that have done like 1 million in their recruitment career, let alone what you've just done there. But going back to what you just said, and we'll talk about your stories as well. It's very obvious, right? When you see someone post something on LinkedIn that's been ChatGPT, there's a few clues that you can see with the extended like the little dash that people put in from ChatGPT. Now, I've always said this, and when I do training with people, and let's face it, there are people that aren't as creatively minded and they struggle to think of ideas and things like that. I've always said, like, you don't use ChatGPT to do your content. You can brainstorm with it as if it's like your assistant. You can prompt it to be like a marketing guru, a LinkedIn guru. You can prompt it to understand info about your market and give you bullet points. And then all you need to do is then create the post yourself, write it in your language, and then just put it through ChatGPT to make sure grammar, spelling is okay and all the rest of it, right? But we see it far too often with people that simply just go on ChatGPT and say, what's the latest trends in machine learning, because if that's the market, or construction, or whatever the market is. And then they go, here you go. And they do a post, and it's so blatantly AI. It just drives me absolutely mental. And going back to what you said as well about, because I want to talk about the stories as well about when you've spoken to someone for a long period of time. Because I've heard some people, Mark, say that in 5 years' time, there's going to be AI like websites or products, whatever, that essentially will call candidates for you to pre-screen them and all the rest of it. Call me old-fashioned, call me a boomer, call me whatever you want. If I got a phone call from an AI bot saying, hey, let's hypothetically say I was a permanent person, I don't work for myself, and they were like pre-screening me and stuff, I don't know, maybe it's just my natural inclination to be like, you know, if there's a bit of downtime in the conversation, like, what were you up to on the weekend? Is an AI bot going to say, I've just done a marathon and I'm training for an ultra marathon? Probably not. I think I personally, I think I would miss that element of just that human conversation, going for a coffee and just chewing the fat about life and stuff like that, you know? Or am I being crazy?
It's funny how when you reinvent the wheel, you eventually always go back to kind of like, and I sound like an old man, but I'm only 36. You go back to like the way that you did it before. But I think with LinkedIn and automation, recruiters who start out think that they have unlimited leads. If you're chasing vacancies as a business, then but anybody can do that. So anybody can set up their relevant ATS to spam and automate emails. You can not do that with LinkedIn, but kind of like sending 150 emails a day to a certain target pool of people is exactly that anyway. And it's obvious that that's going to be like a level of what we do that's going to be automated. And that's absolutely certain. But I think if you speak to anybody who's, for instance, this is a top 1% podcast, so I'd say that's someone that's build consistently over maybe £1 million net fee income over a year or more. If you speak to anybody about that, what I mean by the human touch in recruitment is, what are you getting out of that network that you've got that no one else is getting? So you cannot be a referral machine or something like this if you're only focusing on that automated approach. There are people that do that really well, but then that's kind of like, I sent 10,000 emails and I've got one piece of business that I've closed as a result of it, which is a big conversion.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not of that school of thought. Number one, because I'm maybe not very good at it. I'm of a school of thought that I'd rather have 10 meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
5 of them are people that believe in me and that I know and I've worked out that I can do more business with them in the near future.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't like that. It's just, it's going to be part of your toolkit.
Yes.
It's going to be your toolkit.
Yeah.
And the big topic for me is the 30 seconds call opener that people use as sales.
Yeah.
And now, again, I don't use it, so I don't have the right tone if I do it. But I think anyone can use that and anyone can do this. And that's what the AIs will start doing. So therefore, that will be nonsense in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
Wrong. And I know that people will say I'm wrong. That's cool because it works for them and they're making money from it. But if your aim is just to replicate what everybody else does, then you cannot say that you're going to be in the top 1%.
Yeah. I want to bring you up on that, Mark, because I've seen 2 posts this week. One from James at Rule that went it blew up. I think you commented on it as well, and I think somebody else done a post about it a couple of days ago as well. There's always been this debate on LinkedIn since it came to fruition. Do permission-based openers work? I've always said this to people that if you use any opener, even if I called you, Mark, and just said, "Hey, Mark, it's Charles," and you went, "Hey, Charles, you're right. Good, thank you. Yeah, look, blah, blah, blah." And then you actually converse with me, that works, right? Largely, and I think due to the fact that it has been so overplayed, it does sound really corny, especially in the recruitment market. A lot of people just get peed off by it. The first time anyone ever called me with a permission-based opener, I went, that's a wicked opener. Go on, I'll give you some time. After the 12th one, I went, just get on with it. I'm fucking bored. You haven't ruined my day. I train people how to cold call. Just fucking get on with it. But then you hear the other school of thought, which is not necessarily that we've reinvented the wheel, but we're like modernizing it. We're incorporating some fun or whatever. But I think the cold hard reality is, and you can probably touch on this more because you're actually on the tools doing recruitment. I mean, I'm doing sales calls to recruitment business owners and stuff. But for me, I always say to people that you've got 10, 20 seconds to make a first impression. I just don't understand. I do actually understand a little bit of it, but I think it's so ridiculous when people say, "Hey, Mark, look, I'm probably going to ruin your day, but this is a cold call." What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, you're not ruining my day. I do that job. Yeah.
It's just mental.
And then now it's getting, okay, but it's the tone, it's the way that you say it. Listen, people don't just buy from people, they buy from people that they essentially believe in. And how do you believe? It's not, I purposely don't use the term trust because no one can trust you until they've worked with you for years and years and years, and whether they believe in you or not. And God, I sound like a fossil when I'm saying people believe in people. That's maybe not the right.
It's true though.
Right way of saying it. But and I would do this 60 times a day is, "Hey, it's Mark. The reason that I'm calling you is this. I've called you out of the blue. Is it relevant to speak about it now?" Now, the differentiating factor, the thing that changes is the reason that I'm calling you is this. And that is leading with an assumed benefit. So the reason that you believe that they would be interested to talk to you. Now, you cannot just walk into a recruitment business and do that with people that are going to buy from you. Okay. That's why everyone starts on the candidate side. You don't at college or university and just go straight into calling clients. In my view, you build up to that. But you do need to do that cold call rep until you get knowledge to your assumed benefit. And then you know how to lead with that. Like, "Hey, it's Mark. We place loads of people at Mars Chocolates. You work for PepsiCo. This is the problem we solved them. Worth us having a chat." That's a call. That's not, well, that actually goes into my belief that eventually you should not make cold calls.
Yes.
Be based on referrals and warm leads. But then maybe it's important for people to know that you do need to make the cold calls still.
early on, yeah, especially.
Yeah, and even like 15 years in, like me, because it's like skills fade that you lose. Skills fade being if you don't, if you don't pick up, I don't know, a cricket bat, you're not going to hit six after not doing
it. Of course.
Yeah. So you need to still keep doing it. But I think and some people find it effective making 1,000 of those phone calls with that 30-second opener. I personally would rather someone in my team leads with the information they've got.
Yeah.
In that sort of format.
Yeah. Well, I've experimented with both, right? So when I was the L&D manager in my last job, we had a format which was your name, your company, and maybe a tagline, what you personally specialize in, your hook, your reason for calling, and then always finish up with an open question. So if I was working within a Salesforce recruitment firm and we were the market leaders, it'd be, hey, it's Charles here calling from Salesforce recruitment. Well, you wouldn't use recruitment, but this is a hypothetical. We specialize solely in this sector, and I only focus on the UK market. Look, the reason for the call is I've just helped this company complete this project, understand that you had funding, was wondering how we potentially could help you out on that. Is now the worst possible time, or how have you been getting on, or whatever your bloody question is, right? Then I did a webinar with Hinterview, and they talked through what permission-based openers were, and they went through like the whole neuroscience element of why it works. And I was like, okay, I've never really, because this was like 3 years ago, I hadn't really heard of it, and I'm of the mind that if I've not tried it, let's try it and see if it works. So I've done a workshop with everyone. I said, like, right, we've done this webinar. Only a few of you signed up for it. We're going to just experiment with this, and we're going to test. We're going to A/B test it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And the CEO just said, it sounds shit. I don't want anyone to do it. And I was like, well, you've got to give it a chance, right? Just to see if it fucking works, because someone done it to me, it worked. So let's just see. He was like, no, get rid. And everyone said it sounds shit. Cool. When I set my business up, I was not new to the recruitment industry in terms of like a provider of services, but I was essentially unknown. I was a 29-year-old trainer coming into the market, one of the youngest trainers, like barely known. I had no clients. I couldn't really get referrals yet. So I had to build a spreadsheet of hundreds of people and fucking cold call by myself in this room. It was daunting as fuck, right? So I just experimented, Mark. And some of the calls, it would be, hey, Mark, it's Charles Kiriakou here. Look, I understand I caught you completely out of the blue. Do you mind giving me 25 seconds just to explain why I called? If it's relevant, you can give me the time. We can maybe speak later, or you just don't ever have to hear from me ever again. And the responses I got from that were one of two. One was, go for it, Charles. Go on. You got 25 seconds. Two was, mate, just get on with it. But it got there. It opened the door. Do you know what I mean? I was like, right, okay. So it does work in that respect. But for me, I felt that it just didn't feel right. It felt like I wasted a bit of time, and it didn't really put me and my style in the best light. So what I changed it to was just simply, and since doing this podcast, it's helped massively, was, again, if I were to call you, hey, Mark, it's Charles here. You might actually have noticed I tried to connect with you on LinkedIn today, and I sent you a message. I'm actually just calling you for two reasons, wondering if any of them would be relevant for you. And they go, what were the reasons? Well, firstly, I think you'd be a phenomenal guest for my podcast, the 1% Better Recruitment Podcast. Secondly, I fund that through my coaching business. Don't suppose I've caught you the worst possible time. Sorry, Mark. And then normally they go, well, it's not the worst possible time. Tell me about your podcast, or tell me about your coaching. Or they come back and say, I'm actually in hospital with my whoever, or I'm literally sat in a boardroom, the CEO's just come in, can we do this later? And that's fine, right? Because I understand the element of being polite and all the rest of it. But yeah, that's kind of like, that's been my opening. It's a bit of a blend, I would say.
It's important to recognize that, like you said, I don't know how long is a piece of string, but in 5 years that might all be automated. So definitely don't just stick to the 30-second opener. I think when I said people buy from people, what I really, I guess, meant is that relationships, which again is another term that maybe makes me cringe a little bit, but the interactions with business people who you're trying to sell to are precious. It's like, are you a certain salesperson? Like, are you like assertive? Are you confident in what your service that you're selling? And the only way I think that you can be that is through the information that you gather from all of these conversations.
Yeah.
So when I say that it's like there's unlimited leads out there, again, if I was to pitch Samsung, which I'm looking at a Samsung TV, so that's why I said them. For anyone that's going to chase Samsung now, thinking I work with them, which I don't, it's like I can't just put what SAP project contractors does Samsung have in ChatGPT. Why do they use this supplier? Why don't they use this supplier? What do they know about the Brazilian local SAP or local tax laws? Where are they at in their rollouts, et cetera, et cetera? What competitors do they respect, and why? What sort of people do they look for? Always, at every stage. How is their business structured? You maybe eventually will get that information if somebody's been smart enough to put it on the internet. But I think right now, by leading with value, leading with an assumed benefit, you can only get the information that no one else has got from actually having phone conversations with people.
Yes.
So yeah, my cheesy, geeky phrase that I always use is information is your currency. So you can get information from these tools, and they are really good. But again, make sure that you're making certain that it's the proper information, and the only way you can do that is by speaking to people about it.
Just a quick one from me, guys. I hope you're enjoying this week's episode. But as you probably know, the way that I fund this podcast is through my coaching business. So just a little bit of information around that, because you or someone that you might know might find some value in this. But I work with recruitment agencies, recruitment businesses within a range of 1 to 100 heads that are looking to scale, grow, and ultimately want to upskill both founder level, recruiter level, and everything in between. And I offer a wide variety of different services, from one-to-one coaching, group coaching, training academies, business development training, creating company handbooks, and I'm looking to do a lot more webinars, and I'm looking to add as much value as I possibly can. But in order for me to keep doing this podcast, I need to make a living, I need to pay my mortgage, and I can only do that through my coaching business. Really difficult doing it by yourself, but I love doing it, and I add a lot of value to recruiters and recruitment businesses. So if that sounds like something that you'd potentially be interested in, if you're someone that's passionate about personal and professional development, my details are below with this podcast. That's enough from me. Let's get into the rest of this week's episode. 100%. That's what I go through with, like, especially for new consultants. And like I said, this week I've been doing a new academy with a bunch of trainees, and on day one of training, we went through role plays, and we got them to do their intro in front of the whole cohort, standing in like where I stand at the front doing the presentation. I would literally go, right, so have we all written down our intros? Yeah, we all confident with them? Yeah, sweet. Okay, cool. Mark, get to the front, everyone give him a round of applause, and like, you just stand up and go, well, huh? And everyone's like, okay, clap. And the founders sat in the corner, and they're like, right. And I went, as you know, you're going to do your intro, confident, loud, shoulders back, smile on your face, 3, 2, 1, go. And the consultant's like, oh, fuck. Okay, cool. Right. They do their intro, and then we all critique it and say, right, this is where you could have been better. This is where you could have improved. You got 2 more attempts. Let's smash it. Go again. What happens when you do that is all of a sudden this fear, this build up and all the rest of it is disappeared. And every single module and every single time we do an activity or a role play, it's not like brainwashing, but it's like, it's conditioning them that you're only going to get better in this job, and you're only going to bill by getting the reps in, by speaking to people. You can sit there and do all the research. And one of the trainees, actually, bless him, said to me, so are you saying that you would look through the CV for what, 20 seconds? I was like, yeah, like when you know your market, you would quickly skim through it, but then you use your questions to understand it more. You're not an AI machine learning developer expert, right? You're a recruitment expert. So your job is to say, walk me through your experience. I see that you've worked on this particular project. Tell me more about that. That's how you're going to learn more about it. That's how you're going to find out how many people were working on that project, who led that project, did they use contractors, how many people were perm, etc. You're only going to get that info, like you said, by fucking speaking to people.
Yeah, and just to interject there, I mean, honestly, the most successful people in the technology contract markets, which my sphere of operations is not the ones with the most connections or the most calls or the most emails or, the most of anything. It's although they are at the beginning big pluses, and not even at the beginning in general, they're big pluses, but they're the ones who can turn connections into, I believe in you, and then execute or get stuff to give stuff first, stuff to get stuff in. So it's like, you know, if you are just like, oh, I've got 30,000 connections on LinkedIn now, so, and it's all within my niche, okay, great. But you do realize that if you're playing a numbers game, then you'll only be assessed by your client on speed, which is important, but I think it'll be very important in the future when you'll be able to spam all 30,000 people, and then everybody will be used to coming back to a robot, and then you'll have your call list created for you. If it's just that you're interested in, then 100% you won't have a job in 5 years.
Yeah.
If it is being able to actually do the job, speaking, I think you even see it in like the interview process now. I will literally die on this horse, on this hill. Like you won't, unfortunately, gone are the days where it's like 1 30-minute tech interview for a developer to get a job remotely, because the amount of times that those developers are cheating and like literally found to do it. There's tools like CoderPad where basically the candidate will log into a test, and then CoderPad will, the client that's assessing it can see. And I had one case where the guy actually, like, he did a 30-minute test in 8 minutes. So I said to the client, are you like, is the guy, like, he could be a genius or he could have actually lied. Can you show to me that he's not a genius? And they were like, yeah. And then they showed me it. He basically had 2 screens, which they could see. He like accepted that he's logging into his CodePad, right? So it's not like any like bad data rules or anything. And he just literally copied and pasted like 500 lines of code, waited, then press send. So, but how do you counteract that? Well, you have to have face-to-face meetings. But then even then on Outlook, you can have a headset on where people are whispering the answer in your ear. You know, there's an AI tool for that. So the only way to cut through the noise is to still be a human being. You might not be a human being that everybody likes, like me, but at the very least, you can get your point across. So basically, stop pussyfooting around, cut to the chase, get to the point, tell the reason why you want to speak to a person. And if you do that 30 to 60 times, whatever it is a day, I believe you'll get, well, I know because I've got people that are working for me that are doing it, you'll get much more success.
Oh, I totally agree, mate. Totally agree. Well, just before we move on to like best practice and kind of going through your process and stuff, you mentioned that you cringe when you say the word relationship, and you mentioned like what even is relationships, because I've had this conversation multiple times with people, and our first community meetup for everyone that's been on the podcast, that was one of the first conversations we had of, can you actually scale a business on relationships? And everyone that was around us was saying we're all phenomenal relationship builders, and we were trying to break down what does relationship builder mean. So if we had an alien on the table with us, or somebody that's never worked a day in recruitment or sales, and they sit there and go, what is a relationship with someone? Not like a romantic one, but like in a business sense, in a recruitment sense. And what are things that we can do to scale a business off of that principle of relationship building? Because I'm a massive proprietor and believer that relationships and recruitment are everything, but I do understand that there are people out there that will listen to that and think it's woo-woo, and that's not a really scalable thing. So I'm quite curious to hear what your opinion is on that, really.
Well, I think it's only a relevant relationship if you're going to get something out of it. Right? There's no point just saying, I'm going to be friends with everybody all the time. And then not get anything out of it. So I mean, there's some, you know, relationships. I mean, what I mean is first of all, is it a two-way street? So is it take from them, or, you know, and give from you? And by that means, in a sales sense, like, have you set it up right from the beginning, where I expect this of you, and if you expect this of me? So have you sold your service in? Have you sold your process, your best practice, and do they follow, and do they try and improve themselves as you try and improve yourself as a client and customer and like person selling relationship? That's quite important. To me, like, if there's no two-way streets, then it's not a relationship worth having.
Yeah.
It's like you're not just going for a beer with a person in the pub. It's business. So are they aware of that? That's quite a big one. And I think a lot of people, time and time again, we do these things once every couple of weeks. We call it a war room. And basically where our delivery team and our sales team get into a virtual room, and the sales guy or lady will give one example of a good deal or piece of business that's going through, and one example of a bad one. Even if it was a deal, why is it bad, or why it was a drop off or something. And we give each other like real-time feedback on our best practice of have all of the steps been chosen, these sort of things. So like a person's been in the business 1 month who's only just learned how to do it will give the 15 years guy an absolute ear bashing about how he said, literally, when I'm telling them about the requirement that I've done or got, that I'm like, yeah, but I didn't need to ask him that question. I didn't need to.
Oh, don't. That triggers me, man.
And like, it's so annoying, and it's so great. It's so annoying because it's like, and you can't. I try and lead. Okay, I've made loads of mistakes, but I try with the philosophy of one amongst equals. It's like just exactly done it for 10 minutes. I don't know it all. I can always improve, and if I think you need to take that philosophy into your relationships too. If you don't, come back to your WhatsApp discussion with all your founders and guys that run recruitment businesses that say you can scale on relationships, you absolutely can, if you're also willing to do that and improve as well. So like the amount of times that I've honestly lost business in the last 2 years since I've been running information with my business partner Mike, because he's wanted to slap me, is because I've said, oh yeah, but it's him, I don't need to ask that question, I've done 100 placements to that guy in the past. It's such a like base par moment. But so relationships mean nothing if you are not constantly trying to prove them. I'm not going to get into psychology and human nature of you, but that is the way it is, isn't it? You're humble enough to be able to admit that. There's one of my old bosses, Martin, he says a great story. So he was a family friend. I think probably didn't say the story right, but I'll say it anyway. He was at a barbecue and he'd done loads of placements with his family friend on the permanent side. And then the guy's like, he overhears his mates, who's also his client, saying, yeah, no, we took on 2 or 3 contractors last week. And Martin's like, what? Why didn't you call me up? Oh, I didn't know. I just thought they were too small for you. I didn't really think you'd want to do it. Like, it's like 10 days, 15 days, something like that. And he's like, no, absolutely, I wanted to do that. What are you on about? Like, oh my God. And it's like assuming that even though that guy's someone that's having a barbecue with you, family.
Just ask with one question, you've just assumed.
Yeah, like never, and again, it's old, but never assume that you're not doing everything you can. So it's important to have these like checkpoints on like almost, it's bad to say this, but like almost ranking your relationships as well. What like to keep it going on and on and on. Always.
I love that. One of my clients last year used to say that he used to walk around the sales floor and say, right, we're going to do a regen sprint. So I want you to call any candidate that you've had sent out to a job, interview, offer, placement, any client that you've done business with or had terms agreed with in the last year, etc. And the first people I want you to speak to are your mates. And everyone looked at him and was like, what? And obviously he was being kind of like jokey when he said that. And he went, right, everyone in this room needs to have friends in the industry. And what I mean by that, these are the people that you can call on a Friday afternoon, chew the fat, and they're just going to tell you about what's going on in the market. Did you know that this business is going to go into liquidation? So there's 5 developers in that company that are going to be open to work. Did you know that so-and-so's who's the director of that company is actually really unhappy? You're also giving them information about the stuff. Like you said, it's that whole give and ask methodology, but having people in your network that you can call. And looking back to, I mean, I do it now. I've got clients that I just chew the fat with now. And back when I was a recruiter, Fridays were the best days for those types of conversations, of calling up and saying, Mark, how's it going? How's the family? How's your kid getting on? How many goals did he score on the weekend, last weekend, etc.? Who's he playing this weekend? What's the latest in your business? What's going on in the market? Anything else I'm not aware of? What would you like to see from me? I'm going to do a post on Monday about this. What do you think? How would you change that? Do you think that would add value? All these types of things. And those are like your, if you were to rank them, like your gold relationships, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And largely those people, and I'm not saying that they were just people that I just have chats with, because again, I was like that when I first got into recruitment. I didn't know about grading them. And then eventually you go, okay, I speak to this client every month, but they're never going to fucking hire. They do everything themselves. They're fine. Like that's actually no longer a gold. That's a bronze. My gold ones were the ones that I'd speak to. And I was always like, I give the analogy of playing chess. There's always 3 moves ahead, because every single time I would speak to them, like, yeah, as I said last month, Charles, sign off in a month's time. Call them again in 3 weeks. As I said, yep, sign off at the end of this month is about a week. But you're taking that brief on, you're getting that information, you're giving, you're asking. And then by the time the role's been signed off, before they've even advertised the role on LinkedIn or on the website or whatever, you've already got a short list of 3 people.
Yeah. So no, that is really good. I mean, I guess that's kind of touched on like a sales funnel. We're just as happy with deleting somebody from that sales funnel as opposed to like moving them. So ours would be like a suspect, which is like just a list of 50 people each week that you'll contact, and we can think of an assumed benefit as to why to contact them. Prospect is someone that essentially you've spoken to, and it's like there is going to be something with that person, and there's maybe a hook somewhere. And then a client is someone you've met, got a piece of business from, or have a piece of business ongoing with. And I think one of the key things, so like let's say if you have like a leads board, where you're trying to convert, like if you're chasing a vacancy and stuff like that. But like as important in that list is like information, like project information, all of these things, which you can turn into new business, but don't just stop there. If you, like, I work with a lot of consulting businesses, like technology consulting companies who literally are bidding and experts in the market. Do you know the sales guys in that business, and are you giving them information as well about that, or are you giving them the information about Nestle, or Nestle information about Mars, what they're doing and stuff? So we actually treat like a lead as not something that I can just turn into a vacancy or a requirement, but also turn into a piece of currency, information currency, that I can pass upwards to somebody that might make use of it. If you're just a delivery focused recruiter, like, so the whole 180, 360 thing, like if you're just doing the first delivery, whatever, finding people, what can you tell your bench of like candidates about what you know that will make them in turn give you something like referrals when they get them? Because one's got a WhatsApp group with all the Salesforce developers in Berkhamsted. I don't know, like wherever it is, right? like what are they? Who are they calling first to sell it? Because they know that you can turn that into some form of business. But that's coming to the principle of you only ever get something if you give something first, by the way. But so the whole sales funnel thing can be moved along mainly from information, in my view.
I hope you're enjoying the episode so far, guys. If you like short form content and want to see clips of prior episodes that are about to launch, or episodes that have just recently launched, you can see so many clips on my TikTok. It will be coming up on the screen right now. It's just charles.kiriakou on TikTok, and I upload 30 to 90 second clips at least 5 times a week. So if you see a clip on there and you go, actually, do you know what, that sounds like a wicked episode, you can just simply go on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube to see that episode and then watch the full episode. But I'm trying to upload a lot more on on TikTok. So if you could give me a little follow over there and just check out the clips and give me some feedback, that'd be hugely appreciated. And just one more thing as well, if you're getting this far into the episode and you haven't liked or you haven't followed or subscribed or anything like that, you're going to miss out on so many good episodes. We have so many good guests that have already come on, that are coming on. So please make sure you're following, subscribed, etc. Oh, and finally, I have a newsletter that it comes out every single month so you don't miss any of the episodes. So follow on all those areas, and let's get into the rest of the episode. Yeah, not 100%. So it'd be good to understand what your process is overall then. And I know that you're big on the business development side of things. For me, I whenever I try and go through this with people, whether they are rookie or director level, I always try and really simplify it. I don't think that recruitment is on paper a complex job at all. You're finding a candidate for a job for a candidate, and obviously there's loads of little intricate things in between. But if we think about like how you've built your desk, for example, how you've built up your reputation, I guess it's going to be very different now how you do that in comparison to when you first started. But if someone was to listen to this that, you know, either is doing it for the first time themselves or somebody that is doing a new market but has been doing the recruitment for a bit of time, if you can maybe share with us kind of, I guess, what your process and methodology is from start to finish, winning business, growing a market, etc. I'd be really interested to know from you.
It's really hard to like on the other podcast too, to not sound like I don't have an answer to this, because I do, but I don't want it to be so long-winded, and I do talk a lot. But I mean, okay, if I started tomorrow business, I'd work with one niche, and I'd try and find who the top 100 people are in that niche and build from there. I think that's far more effective than working from the top down and just calling clients with a phone, and hoping that they're a funny person and you have credibility with them. So if we have like a new salesperson, we always get them to kind of do like 80% of their work just purely on candidate focus for first 6 months. That's definitely the best way to do it, because then you can learn how to speak to people, learn about when to say something, about how to pick up information, which you can turn into getting new business. And then I think over time, when they start becoming more, I mean, I'd say that the candidates are clients as well, but when they become more customer, I guess, focused, they'd move to, I would personally always move people to like a 30-30-30 rule. So that's like 30% of their time, even after 2 years, will be candidate work still. 30% of their time will be doing the cold calls, like, hey, it is Mark, we're Formation, we're a partner to this software, what do you do? That just the basic phone calls. Or, hey, it's Mark, we have a number of projects coming up in this space, what are you up to? What's your current situation? Doing that. And then 30% of kind of what we would call like new business development, but within accounts. So if you work with America, why are you not working with them in Japan?
Sure.
If you work with that, like calling your mate is a new business too. Work with that candidate, who are the top 5 people that he knows, get the referrals. And from the basis of them, we'd lead with information, like these assumed benefits, like, hey, I saw on our system that we did business with you 2 years ago. My job is to find out what you're doing now. Sort of thing. So it's like, it's really important though, because although it sounds very basic, and you did say keep it simple, stupid. So if you don't do one of those things, so if you call the candidates, you're cutting off the hand that feeds you. If you cold calls, you're going to get really bad at calling, and you're going to assume too much about, this is just going to feed you forever. The relationships, the more meaningful stuff. So it's really important to do all 3 of them. No one ever does it. I've never done it perfectly, but if you can keep your general structures of your day on these sort of lines, then and do the reps in that, then I think that's keeping it quite simple. I mean, maybe leading question.
Yeah, no, I like it. So just to sort of recap on that from what I've taken away. So if you were to start again, and for people that are maybe if they've hired a new starter or someone starting out on a new market, figure out who the top 100 are in that market, and 30% of your time is focused on essentially information gathering with candidates in your market, building up my analogy is building up, if you've got a shop, basically your stock is your candidate. So you're building up stock of good candidates and ridding yourselves of the ones that you don't think you can work with, etc., and generating leads. The cold aspect, the other 30%, the cold business development with your 30-second openers, and then obviously the whatever accounts that are on the system that we've worked with. So again, if I was working in your business and I was doing cyber, but a couple of your consultancies who were cybersecurity consultancies that you place Salesforce developers with, I would then call them and say, hey, Mark placed a bunch of contractors with you guys last year. I'm now building the cybersecurity desk. What's the crack, basically? Yeah.
And when I started, it was great. Obviously, you didn't use LinkedIn like that in 2011, so about 1,000 years ago. But
in recruitment years, you're right.
I think it's really. I used to like have, honestly, like post-it notes around the monitor and like pieces of paper just telling me how to do things. All of these, You need, because I'm very like regimented as a person. Military background, so I need to do that to get it into my thick skull. But I think it's really important as well. Okay, that 30-30-30 thing is really good, but that's only the candidate stuff is only so you have an established talent pool of people that you sell upwards. There's no point in not having that. We're not going to get very far at all. This is all contracting recruitment, and then you need a kind of, and every single company's got one, but you need a kind of methodology or a best practice internally to make you stop cutting corners, to make you follow each step. Because then if you've got that methodology, whatever it is, you can sell it upwards to and downwards to your candidates and your clients. This is why we know that recruitment is not rocket science. If we follow these rules, we can bring your conversions down. And we can save you time and will believe in me more. That's quite important too. So if you don't, these, like literally we have a spreadsheet with 97 points on it, and every single time something drops through the process, if it's a counter offer, it's literally not the recruiter's it's not the person that's hiring's fault. It's 100% you could have uncovered all of that stuff if you'd have followed the best practice. And that's what we built up for 15 years. So it's never, and it's constantly getting involved, right? Holy grail of the Marc Burgess recruitment book. Coming to you in Amazon. No, but like seriously, honestly, and again, brutal assessment of myself. Every single time something falls through, I refer back to that and I can pinpoint what I didn't do. Like you get all of the recruiters that are like, the counter offer is like 65% of counter offers never stay. It's like, okay, cool. What you should actually be saying is that you need to change your way of qualifying a prospect because you don't do it properly because you'd have known it. Obviously, there's not 1% of people that slip through the gap because you're dealing with people and there's no way of knowing.
Of course, you can follow a perfect process. Yeah, you're human beings, exactly.
Give yourself a standing chance. Follow the same process and trust it every single time. But more than that, when you do evolve from being just a delivery focused person to speaking to these people with £1 million budgets, be proud of the fact that you've got this best practice and sell it in your service upwards. Your service doesn't just have to be, I'm the hungriest one, I'm the one that works all hours, I'm the one that knows everybody. It has to also be proud of the fact that it's this that's got me this far.
Well, not everyone has that though. Not everyone has with the guys that I've been training this week. One of them came from a massive IT recruitment firm, like huge, one of the biggest ones. I won't say who it is, obviously. And after a few days of training with me, and this isn't me trying to blow smoke, the director sat down with him and said, "How is this training compared with the external guy, me, in comparison to the big corporate that he worked at?" He said, "Well, the big corporate don't remember anything because the guy was just sat behind a laptop the whole time." and was just basically going for a PowerPoint. There was no discussion, no engagement, and I just don't remember any of their processes. So for me, it's like that condition, that mental conditioning of people to think you're not just a fucking recruitment consultant. You're more than that. You add so much value. You can change people's lives. You can help change the scope of a business. And I said to the founders before we done this academy that before we do anything, of course, we go through like what's the actual cycle of recruitment. You do your onboarding, you go through some mindset stuff and expectations of what this job is going to be about. But the first ever module I go through is kind of what you're saying about a borderline best practice process is a structure of how you do a sales call, which always starts with an intro, always ends with a close. But then you've got your questioning techniques, everything like that. You have a flexibility model. So every single time a contractor says they want £1,000 a day, okay, cool. If I got you a company that was X, Y, and Z, but offered 950, would you be interested, or should I just give that to someone else? So you get the flex. You look for the no, which is something that typically recruiters are fucking god awful at because we kid ourselves and assume
qualify it.
Exactly. And I'll tell the story in a minute about my first ever deal that dropped out. So you got the bad news, and then you do your recap, you do your confirmation. So, right, just a recap to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. And if there's anything that you would add or take away from what I've said, have I missed anything? Anything else you would add or take away? No, Mark, you've done a phenomenal job. That's great. And then you close them. So again, a lot of trainee recruiters and people new to the industry will go, cool. All right, Mark, I'll send you the job description. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, bye. No fucking control.
No, and the only way you can get control, I don't care what anyone says, is literally to tick box that checklist. So, okay, so the BD thing, come back to that. Do you have an established market or a candidate pool? Don't just be the master of all, like a jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah. Do you sell your hiring process upwards? Okay. And do you have a methodology or best practice that will stop you cutting corners, engage you human to human, more than one human, whatever, through every single step of that process? Now that's not rocket science, but and we've been doing that. I've been doing that since 2011. Maybe I was fortunate where I ended up and they taught me that. But yeah, do you do it? I mean, and honestly, like, yeah, what was it? Oh man, even the other day, I had a placement for free. So long story short, we couldn't contract with we couldn't contract with a client insofar as the candidate was getting paid through us. So the clients agreed €150 a day as a margin only. So they're literally just going to pay us that as a margin. Insane. Wow, great. Thinking good business. And then I just let the client get on with it, and it didn't qualify properly. So basically, because this contractor would then subcontract with a client directly, and I would just be paid for that finder's fee. I hadn't checked what the payment terms are with a client. It's just such a schoolboy error that everybody wants to work with me. Hopefully after this podcast or whatever, it's gonna be like, absolutely not, one idiot. But anyway, it's just it's proven that I'm a human being. I make mistakes. Yeah. So the contract terms are 60 days, and the candidate's like, well, obviously no, I'm not gonna do that. Oh no. And it's so, this was about a year ago, by the way. But like no, only joking, it was last week. Why my bags under my eyes. But no, but like, and literally, even one thing, I don't care how many places, like if you get that skill phase, you don't follow that process the same way every time, don't ask that question. And you know how it is. The first 5 years of my recruitment career, apart from having the loudest voice in the room, I didn't bill anything significantly. I was just always the guy working hard and everyone else. And I learned very, very, it's very easy, especially when you've got middle managers that are stuck behind a spreadsheet who've not done the job for 10 years, telling you that you're unproductive. Not that that's a personal bone of contention on mine. But like, it's very easy to dress up your pipeline and dress up a candidate to make them look as they can because you're desperate for the sale. Fuck that. Don't be desperate. Do a proper job. You'll save yourself so much stress. But I don't really want to ask him if he's got a counter offer or if he's, what he would accept.
You're just kidding yourself. That's what you're doing. You're kidding yourself.
We've all done it, especially when it's like, you're so far off your target or whatever, and like, you need it to happen. But yeah, obviously, maybe it's a completely, I imagine if you hear, you get used to something the more that you do it. So yeah, just yourself in the uncomfortable situation. That's what you were saying.
Finding the no is one of the most difficult things for recruiters to master, because it goes against everything that we want to do. Like, you don't want to sit there and say to your friends, like, do you actually like me? Like, there's things like this you don't really want to do. So it's no wonder people struggle with it, right? And I've got two anecdotes that I'll go through very quickly. I was very fortunate because I'd done perm recruitment for the last 6 years of my recruitment sales career. And I was very fortunate that I only had a couple of people drop out at final. So when I've worked with businesses where it's like, oh, I should have had 60K this month, but 7 of the 8 deals fell through, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, your process sounds shit if that's the case. I was very good at building rapport, asking phenomenal questions, getting commitment, confirming on every call, and closing. So at every single call, it was always, I knew what the next step was. What I was not so great at to begin with was, and I was good at the flex part, but was looking for the no, right? So the first time I ever had a deal fall out, I worked with this client, and he was the guy that took me to my first ever exhibition. He got me a ticket for free, educated me about the market, and he was actually the first person to rid my client anxiety. It's wild. It was a client that, and I say this in coaching and training all the time, he could see my hand was shaking because I was 23 and I was going to go and do my pitch deck to all the biggest companies in surgical urology, and I was shitting myself. He was great because he was a bit of a geezer. He played rugby. Is a bit older than me. He's kind of like that dad energy, and he was just like, mate, everyone in this room uses a toilet to go for a shit, just like you and I. Fucking pull up your big boy pants and get over it. And I just remember thinking, oh yeah, they're just humans, right? Anyway, I got 2 jobs on with him. One was for the Southwest and one was for the A3 corridor. I placed the Southwest one and I used the same closing technique with him. I said, Michael, I'm really sorry to say, but JP absolutely loved you and he wants to offer you 45K. And the candidate was like, oh my God, oh, I thought you were going to let me down. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Gave him all the details of the package and he was like, sound, accept, signed the offer, contract done. Called up the other lady, Michelle, in the A3 corridor, which is based in Surrey. And I called her up, did the exact same process. Michelle, I'm really sorry, but JP absolutely loved you and they want to offer you 45K and they want you to start immediately. And I went silent and she went, yeah, okay, fair enough. Cool. All right, Charles, appreciate that. It's been a good interview process, but I'm going to politely reject. And I went, oh, sorry, what? I thought you loved the opportunity. And she was like, yeah, it's great, but I'm never going to move to the same salary. And I was like, but I thought you said the most important things were working more with patients and working even with innovative technology. And she went, yeah, but I'm never going to move to the same salary. She was like, also, Charles, what's the company car allowance? I was like, they've got a mileage scheme. She was like, right, so I have a mileage scheme and I have £600 a month for my company car allowance. What car do they offer? And I was like scrambling through my notes. I didn't get that fucking information. I didn't qualify whether that was important to her. I never qualified if she would move for the same salary or what her flex was on that. And I went, oh shit. So if the client can come back and offer you more, would you accept? And she was like, well, I feel a bit disrespected. Like, clearly they don't value me at higher. So they'd have to offer me something really good. She then came back and said, I want 55. The budget was 45 max. So I was like, oh, fuck. So then I've gone back to the candidate. She was like, no, I'm not interested now. That's really fucked me off. And it ruined it. And it nearly fucked off the relationship with the client. And it was simply because, Mark, if I just said to her during the first fucking qualification, if we put you forward for this role and the client says the max they can offer is 45, but it does offer you the ability to work with patients again, you're working with the most innovative tech on the market, but the role is 45 and only a mileage scheme, would you move? If she sat there and said, absolutely not, I wouldn't have fucking wasted my time.
I mean, I've got it's fun, isn't it? You look back now and you surely laugh at that because of how
I do. At the time, I had to leave the office. We had a senior person in the building, and she literally pulled me over, Mark, and was like, "You need to go outside and get some fresh air." Because I was enraged, and everyone in the office couldn't do any work because I'm sat there throwing pencils at the wall. What a fucking bitch! It's my fault. It's my fucking fault.
I've nearly been chinned many times on a sales call, and my boss nearly chinned me once. Marco, he's a great guy.
I've never heard someone say my boss nearly chinned me.
He's definitely not listening to this, but I've had some really interesting, like crazy Italian bosses, and he's one of them, right? So anyway, this is massive placement going through for like 3 years with like a software company that we like needed to get into, and we'd had been trying for so long. Anyway. Everything's good for the candidate. Everything's good. And I've sent him the confirmation email. So what our process is quite clear. We do a confirmation email, disclosure. They agree our STCs before we send them to the client to alleviate any problems. And also, before we send their CV, we'll have some knowledge of their references, and also another person within our business will speak to that person to go through all of that stuff, just in case, because something goes wrong. And also, it's gut feeling, two different people. But I'd skip that step because it was my person that I found. So I was like, well, no one else needs to speak to that geezer. I'll do it. I'll sort it out. Plus, the guy's English and I'm English, so I can work it out. Anyway, we got to the offer stage. So I've said to the client, yeah, he's good. I'll confirm with you on an email, Mr. Client, once he's confirmed with us on an email. But for now, it's good. Done the verbals, all great. So start working on purchase order and stuff like that. I sent it. And then the new confirmation email had one thing added to it that the first one didn't. So the first one just said $1,000 a day. And the second one said $1,000 a day with no expenses paid, which is what I'd spoken to the guy about on the phone, and he'd agreed on the phone. And he agreed $1,000 a day with nothing after it on the email. So 2 weeks later, when we get the offer, and I put $1,000 a day, and Marco's over my shoulder saying, you've got to make sure you write with no expenses, because it's no expenses. He's come back to that email, hasn't he, saying, well, I didn't agree. No expenses, did I? Of course I want expenses. You're sending me to XYZ, place on another continent. And I'm like, no, you didn't. I literally spoke to you about it. I know I did. And he's like, okay, well, prove it. Where's that in writing? Fuck. Lost, deal lost from that point. And that's where Marco chinned me, because someone's so militant. It's like, why have you done that? And also, why have we not, two people not spoken to him? And then obviously me, because I needed that deal, trying to cut the corners and not trust the process. And it's something as simple as that, mate. That was like a $200,000 deal over. It was massive. Yeah,
just over just a confirmation email, man.
Not even that, it's the client. I mean, I ended up working with that client again because I got another manager. One of the best outreach techniques of all for me of all time I was just so bored with my approach. It wasn't working, so I went on this LinkedIn group for like marathon runners. I was like, "Hey, it's Mark. I'm running the Leicester Marathon in a gorilla suit. Please sponsor me." Also, I'll send you a picture of me in a gorilla. Oh, by the way, you're in the SAP world. Let's have a chat. And that client was, well, one of them was at that client, and he ended up being the big boss.
Love that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so trust your process.
Yes, 100%.
And like you're always going to cut a corner. But and again, that was if it was a war room like we say that we do, then that would have come up in that as well. It's really important to scrutinize yourself, and relationships. You can't get away from the fact that you need to keep working on yourself. Relationships. It's really important.
Yeah. 100%, mate. I love that. That's a wicked anecdote. Obviously, at the time, I can imagine it's just the worst thing to go through. But you look back, and and it's just a good lesson for people to take away, that it's just the simple things that when you confirm, just do everything that you've done verbally and writing as well. But listen, Mark, I'm conscious of time. As you know, the final question that I finish off every podcast with is the same one, which is, following today's episode, how can people get 1% better in recruitment?
How can people get 1% better in recruitment? Like, you only get something if you give something first. Fact. Will not listen to anyone that tells me otherwise. In business. All right. Not with my wife. No, seriously, if you can work out like a really your own way. The 30-second opener might be a bit of humor, and if you find a tap of people where that's coming out of, and that works for you, then it works for you. But I think if you lead to all candidate discussions and all client discussions with, I'm going to give you this, you might not necessarily get paid for it straight away, but I think over a long period of time, if you are giving stuff, you'll get something out of it. But make sure you ask every single time as well, because people don't ask. either.
Love it. Awesome. All right, Mark. Well, thank you very much for joining us on today's show. In terms of people that listen to this and watch this, if people were to try and reach out to you, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah. So my LinkedIn is quite like my inbox is horrendous because of all the automated emails. So like refer to the podcast. But m@formationpartners.com is on my profile there. I love a little comment engagement. It beats the algorithm on LinkedIn, so it's in front of people. So if you are really that interested in speaking to me, God knows why, then comment on something that I post and say, hey, how are you? Like, no, but just email is best. My phone is always on, and I believe in the art of human speaking, so I do answer phone calls. So you can might regret that, but no, I'm joking. Seriously, just give us a call. I recently ran a London marathon for Marie Curie Cancer Care. So if anybody really wants to get any time, then you can always donate £1 to that link that's on my link.
Yeah. Well, send me that link so that when we put this podcast out, I'll put the link below. And I know that before we clicked record that you said that you were going to do, you had some big goals, ultra marathons and 40 days, 40 marathons, etc. So when you are doing that, and as you're going to be part of our 1% community, we'll all do our best to shout you out and all the rest of it. So yeah, for anyone that's made it this far, thank you very much for watching, listening. Follow Mark, follow the pod, all the rest of it, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching this episode or listening to this episode, guys. Let me know, what was your biggest takeaway from this week's guest? What did you think about their answer to the 1% Better in Recruitment? I'm really keen to hear your thoughts. If you haven't already, please drop us a like if you're on YouTube, follow on Apple and Spotify, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm really, really keen to get some feedback from you all on what you think about the format of these episodes. Are there any other guests that you think we should have on the show? Are you someone that wants to be a guest on the 1% Better Recruitment Podcast? Because if so, you can just simply DM me on LinkedIn. You can drop me an email. All my details are below on these videos. And I'm always interested in having absolute legends come on the show that want to have real open conversation, that want to talk about things that could even be potentially controversial. We could debate certain things, but the whole point, as I mentioned at the start of the video, guys, is that my whole purpose with this show is to help the recruitment industry get 1% better after every episode. So make sure you're following, subscribing on all the different platforms, and I'll see you next week.